Hello, this is episode 10 already. I appreciate all the people who have watched this vlog where I can talk about clients whose homes I cleared out over 15 years in the Washington, D.C. metro area. Also, I will give some suggestions for running your own estate cleanout business so you can learn from my experience. The first client I wanted to talk about today died in 2009. She had a 2-bedroom condo in a high-rise building in Northwest D.C. She had written her autobiography regarding her 6 years in a Chinese prison where she was tortured and kept in solitary confinement most of the time. President Richard Nixon helped her get released from prison during his visit to China in 1972. The book was translated into many languages. Because of her strong faith in God, she came to the United States with a wonderful attitude. Neighbors that saw me going in and out of her condo asked if I was her daughter. When I told her I was hired by her attorney to empty the condo, they told me that the woman was always pleasant to anyone who talked to her in the building or on her walks with her little dog. Several didn't know her background until they read her obituary. She kept a very neat home and definitely liked the Chinese influence in decorating. While clearing out her home, I found a VHS tape of a talk she gave telling part of her life story. It was fascinating, and I sent it to her relatives in Canada along with photos. After 14 hours of sorting, my helper and I met with movers called Certified Packaging in Jessup, Maryland. They specialize in small moves under 5,000 pounds. They shipped a bedroom set to Spain for one estate I worked on, and another time they shipped 100 boxes of paperwork in Maryland and delivered them to Stanford University. They were cheaper than UPS or the post office for those 100 boxes. You will see in one of the photos she had a big vase of silver dollar branches. These were always a mess to throw away because as soon as you tried to get them into a trash bag, they broke into little pieces. This author had a copy of each language her book was published in, and I swear that every third house we worked in after that job, we came across her book. It obviously was a bestseller. The next job I wanted to share was for a man who had a 1-bedroom apartment in Northwest D.C. on Massachusetts Avenue, in the building that was next door to the Society of Cincinnati. They have a beautiful building inside and out, and the building that we worked in had a beautiful view of D.C. from the rooftop where you could see the Washington Monument 2 miles away. The apartment was on the same floor as the front lobby, which made it easy to get things in and out. The man had been an attorney for the Justice Department and was now living in a nursing home. As you will see in the photos, he had some nice antique furniture and lots of magazines, CDs, books, DVDs, and LPs. Some things were taken by me to him in the nursing home, but most of it went to auction and charity. Books that we didn't think could be sold went to Books for America. On this job, I used 2 helpers. One was the woman who worked with me on almost every job, but I also used a day laborer from Labor Ready that had worked out quite well for me once or twice before. He was a part-time butcher for a local grocery chain, but they weren't giving him enough hours, so he also worked for Labor Ready. He was honest and hardworking. He didn't have a car, so I used him when there was a job near enough to a subway or metro station, and I could easily pick him up on the way to a job. I had used Labor Ready several times over the course of the 15 years. I would say half were really hard workers, and I would let Labor Ready know they were fine people, but the other half were slow and had no enthusiasm for the work they were doing. I also included a little shopping cart photo because this comes in handy for jobs where the home is above the first floor. The next house was in Silver Spring, Maryland. Built in 1962, it was only 1,376 square feet. His mother and aunt had also lived in the house with him, but he was the final family member to die. They were Russian immigrants and had first moved to China, then to the Philippines, and finally to the U.S. I saw photos of the interior house taken in the 1960s, and it looked quite normal inside. You will see from the photos at the end that the house was anything but normal when we walked inside. He had lots of tools and computers that were set up to act as a server. He was running them using car batteries that sat on the floor in the living room and his bedroom. And under his mattress, between the mattress and the box spring, he had a shotgun. We didn't find that till we moved the bed. There were enough saleable items to send a trailer and 2 large trucks containing electronics, furniture, and glassware to associated auctioneers. I believe Junket Dump It took away 6 large truckloads of trash. We also sent quite a lot of clothing and little household items to charity. If there wasn't a working bathroom in the house, we oftentimes had to take a break and go to a nearby fast food restaurant to use their bathroom. Sometimes there wasn't anything within 5 to 10 minutes from the house, and a few times I did have to ask the attorney to have a porta potty delivered to the home. This didn't bother the attorney, as after we emptied the house, oftentimes workers came in to paint the inside of the house or remove old carpeting and lay new carpeting and tile. Sometimes I charged $5 an hour more for each worker if we didn't have running water in the house. Then the cost of having a porta potty didn't look so bad to the attorney. There was a Dodge Colt and a BMW in the driveway. A tow truck came to take them to auction. They hadn't been started in a few years, as the owner had died 2 years before we started working in the house. There was no garage, thank goodness, but the basement was stuffed full, as you will see. Part of the basement was not as tall as the rest, and I was the only one able to walk around in that part without bumping my head on the rafters. Most of the time being short was a problem, because I couldn't reach high on shelves or take down curtains where the rod was at the topmost part of the wall. But this time being 5'3" worked to my advantage. Here are the 25 photos I promised.